Good morning. Thank you, Suresh. My name is Allie Kelly. I'm Executive Director of the RAY, and we are so excited to be a part of MOVE this year. This is a great opportunity for us to share our story and our work in the southeastern United States. The RAY is one of two living laboratories for transportation technology and innovation in an operational and completely public environment for testing, for performing, and for scaling in the United States. We have the RAY in Georgia, and Colorado DOT operates the RoadX program. The RAY begins with Ray Anderson. Ray Anderson, a Georgia native, in the 1970s risked his entire life savings, about $20,000 US, to start a carpet tile company. He was the first to introduce carpet squares to the United States market, and over a 20-year period, he grew a billion-dollar global business called Interface. In the 1990s, Ray risked it all again at Interface by pioneering circular economic and corporate sustainability principles within Interface. He was the first to recycle old carpet into new carpet, and he challenged Interface to go zero. Zero carbon, zero waste to landfill, 100% renewable energy, and 100% wastewater reuse. Like Ray, we on the RAY have a mission and a goal to go zero. When Ray passed away in 2011, he left his entire wealth to a family foundation. And the government of Georgia in the United States honored Ray by designating an 18-mile stretch of interstate in West Georgia as the Ray C. Anderson Memorial Highway. Ray left behind two daughters, Marianne and Harriet, and his youngest daughter, Harriet, when she found that the governor of Georgia had put her father's name on an interstate, Harriet looked at her husband, Phil, and said, "Oh no, they just put daddy's name on a dirty highway, and now we got to go clean it up." Because everyone knows that Ray Anderson was America's greenest CEO. And so since 2014, Harriet Anderson Langford and her family under the Ray C. Anderson Foundation have been working with the RAY to install and demonstrate cutting-edge transportation technology in a high-speed environment that is completely open to the public, which handles heavy freight, passenger vehicles, and one day in the near future will be supporting advanced mobility and platooning. It's my pleasure to tell you some of the work that we've achieved in the last 3 years, but first I need to tell you how we've done it. The RAY is a nonprofit foundation, so we're working in a public-private philanthropic partnership, an expansion of the P3 called the P4, with partners at Georgia DOT, the Department of Transportation, and with our partners in federal government at the U.S. Federal Highway Administration and the U.S. DOT. Everything that we do on this public interstate is standardized so that it can scale. So our partners in state and federal government are permitting, licensing, and formally allowing all of these technologies to live and perform on the interstate. So let's start with the mission zero of the RAY. Our goals are to show that technologies exist today which can take transportation to zero deaths, zero carbon, and zero waste, more productivity. So to begin with the most important goal, zero deaths. Last year in the United States, over 37,000 Americans died in roadway accidents. This is completely unacceptable. And we know that the highest form of sustainability is saving human lives. I want to start with what is completely predictable and preventable in road safety, and that is tire failure. Today, with us at the Ray is CEO John Catling, who runs a company born here in the UK called Wheelwright. This technology automatically tests and analyzes your vehicle tire pressure and remaining tread depth on all of your tires simultaneously as you drive through the equipment with no interaction required at all from the driver. Why do we think that tire safety and tire monitoring is important? You will see that this is one of the transportation technologies available today that offers the triple bottom line, something that Ray Anderson would call so right, so smart, because it saves human lives, but it also saves fuel, and it reduces carbon at the tailpipe. It reduces tailpipe emissions because when your tires are not properly inflated, your fossil-fueled vehicle is not efficient. So on the Ray, we have one of the first Wheelwright drive-through stations in the world and the first Wheelwright in the United States. You can see the in-road tire pressure sensor pads. You can see the strobe elements in the center of the lane, that strobe lighting in order to illuminate the surface and the sides of the tires. And we also have added, with John and his company, vertical cameras and lighting systems in order to analyze the sidewalls of the tires for damage. This is a new capability that Wheelwright is developing, and we're helping that development to occur on the Ray. So our Wheelwright station is one of the most impressive examples of how laboratories and open operating public environments can both help technology to prove itself, can help technology to expand and improve, and can help technology to scale. Since the Wheelwright came to the United States in 2016, this company is now scaling to Germany, Hong Kong, and throughout the United States, and next month will debut in the mountain region of the US in Colorado. 0 deaths. Most of our really conservative transportation safety partners in the United States believe that the potential benefit from advanced mobility to life safety in the transportation sector is potentially 40, 50%, maybe even more of deaths averted because of connected vehicles, autonomous vehicles, and other improvements in advanced mobility. We on the Ray, using this 18-mile stretch of interstate, which was designated for Ray Anderson, this year with our state DOT and with the federal government, will be installing the software and the hardware on the interstate, which is necessary for us to leverage the highest and best benefits available to us from advanced mobility with respect to safety as well as congestion mitigation and efficiency in the system. Working with Panasonic, we will create a data platform that is specifically designed for connected vehicle data streams. Connected vehicles by the hundreds of thousands are being introduced into the United States, and it's creating the largest pipeline of big data that we have ever seen in our country. So the challenge before state DOTs is, how do you take big data and turn it into big meaning? And why would you want to do that as a DOT? First of all, as you know, connected vehicles are being engineered and sold either as a radio proposition or as a cellular proposition. In the United States, we use DSRC, which is the radio version, and then we also have 5G rolling out to enable cellular V2X. Those are two different languages, and those vehicles will not talk to each other V2V. But when a state DOT decides to install the hardware on the sides of the roads to harvest that data and bring it into a single bilingual data platform, then suddenly the decision that we feel forced to make today between Betamax and VHS or DSRC and cellular V2X goes away, because the DOT and its connected vehicle data platform becomes the great equalizer. Also, this year on the Ray, we're going to repave a great portion of our 18-mile stretch of interstate, some of which will use scrap tires from Georgia scrap tire dumps into rubberized asphalt. And we will be striping and signing 18 miles of interstate with our partners at 3M using materials that are specifically engineered to be visible and read by autonomous vehicle camera vision systems, which means that we'll have the connected vehicle data platform and the infrastructure, the hardware on the road itself to enable autonomous driving without a human operator at 70 miles per hour in an operational and open interstate system, as well as enable partners like Walmart and UPS to trial their platoon-ready freight vehicles. Moving on to another goal of the Ray, which is to reduce the waste and the inefficiencies in our system and to move to a more productive, more valuable infrastructure system. I want to spend just a minute talking to you about the opportunities and the nexus between transportation and renewable energy. We on the Ray in 2016 worked with a French company called Wattway to install the first length of solar pavement in the United States. We were actually the first outside of France to debut a stretch of the solar road called Wattway, and I have a portion of it here for those of you who are interested and want to interact with a piece of the technology. As you can see, this is simply an overlay system that adheres to the existing roadway, so you're not required to be inefficient about your existing infrastructure. Wattway actually adheres to and protects your existing infrastructure while allowing the travel lane to multitask. The question that we keep asking at the Ray is, why is our transportation sector so littered with single-use assets? We have acres and acres of grassy shoulder on the side of the interstate, and we have miles and miles and miles of road. And they are only used in the travel lane when there's a vehicle, a truck, or a car passing right over it. In the first 12 months, we had 50 square meters of wattway that generated nearly 6 megawatt hours feeding directly into a Georgia DOT grid system. So we actually made Georgia's Department of Transportation greener and cleaner from an energy perspective by enabling the travel lane to multitask by generating renewable energy. Likewise, this year we're going to install 2,600 high-efficiency solar panels on the side of the interstate, 40 feet from the edge of pavement. Georgia will become the third state in the United States to deploy clean, renewable energy generation on the acreage on the side of the highway known as the right-of-way. This is a rendering of what our site will look like later this year when it comes online. Our site will be 100% pollinator friendly, which means that we'll get rid of the turf grass and instead install native flowering plants to create habitat and an ecosystem for butterflies, bees, and other pollinators to utilize that 5 acres of land and to prosper in the nearby farming areas along the Ray. Lastly, our mission to decarbonize transportation, one that we all share. We've had a lot of discussion about advanced mobility. We've had a lot of discussion about decarbonization. On the Ray, we know that particularly in the United States, this is one of the most challenging goals and missions that we hold. How do we take our nation's fleet to a lower carbon and a zero carbon status? The first thing that we have to do with the United States, lagging behind the UK, frankly, is to fill in the gaps of EV charging infrastructure. Our very first technology demonstration on the Ray was to install solar-powered EV charging in 2015. This is a DC fast charging station on the interstate, and it connected the two capital cities of Montgomery, Alabama, to Atlanta, Georgia. A stretch of interstate which was previously unpassable by electric vehicles because we didn't have sufficient charging infrastructure to help electric vehicles to move from one capital city to another in the United States. One charging station on the interstate solved that gap. We also have a strategic partnership at the Ray with a public-private consortium called the Select Center. Select operates out of offices in Utah at Utah State University, where they operate a test track testing dynamic wireless inductive charging for electric vehicles in a lane. You'll see in the middle Ray Anderson's youngest daughter, Harriet, standing with some of the leadership at the Select Center, and the round coil is the charging module. Harriet and I were able to drive in a 20-seat EV bus, traveling 45 miles per hour and faster, getting 15 kW from each of the modules in the road. And we are now a part of a conversation with Federal Highway Administration and with state DOTs to plan how this technology steps into the public sector over the next 3 years. The first deployment of a working EV charging lane in the United States is planned for later this year and early 2020. This is happening fast. Finally, last but not least, when it comes to carbon, we cannot forget nature tech. One of our advisors at the Ray Anderson Foundation and the Ray is Janine Benyus, the mother of biomimicry, and Paul Hawken, who recently published the work Drawdown. We know that the Land Institute in Kansas has developed a new cultivar of wheat, which is perennial. This wheat reseeds itself every winter. And one of the characteristics of this new cultivar of wheat is that it grows root systems that extend 9 to 12 feet into the soil. This wheat is called Kernza, and we know it now to be a superhero in the plant world of sequestering carbon. It grabs airborne carbon and it stores it 10 feet into the earth below the topsoil. So with the Land Institute, with Georgia DOT, and with the University of Georgia as our partners, we have planted the side of the interstate with perennial wheat in order to test if done at scale, we can capture airborne carbon from the transportation sector from corridors just like the Ray and help to pull that carbon back in the earth where it should be stored. The work at the Ray is never finished, and this is just a glimpse of some of the work that we are turning our attention to now. We are constantly searching for new partners to join our P4 in the United States at one of the only living laboratories for transportation technology to shine, have a chance to perform, have a chance to scale, and to prove that we can go zero. Unfortunately, I'm not able to stay with you for the rest of the day, but my trustee, Alan Anderson, will be here all day, especially for those of you in the startup village who are interested in discussing a partnership with the Ray in order to debut your technology onto an operational interstate in the United States. And I also want to say thank you to our partners at Innovia Technology who have worked so hard with us over the last few years to chart a successful course for the Ray. Innovia is based here in England, in Cambridge. Last but not least, with my remaining minute, I want to let you know a special story to the Ray. When Harriet and Georgia's Governor Nathan Deal designated 18 miles of interstate for Ray Anderson, we never thought we would be giving tours of the Ray to guests from out of state and out of country. We never thought that we would be creating brand new technology for the world, and yet here we are. One of our pieces of technology that the Ray owns, thank you to Innovia, we hold all the IP on a smart road dot. There are others operating in this space, and it's great that we have competition around the concept of a smart road, because so much of our focus has been on smart cars. But to fully leverage the benefits of advanced mobility, we need to turn big data into big meaning, and we need a smart road to meet the smart car halfway. A road dot, such as the one that you see here, there's also an Israeli company called Valoran that is in the startup village here at Move. A smart dot such as this allows the road to gather information about itself through sensors that are working all the time, to communicate its status to others through a communication system that also communicates with smart city systems and connected vehicle data platforms, and utilizing a white LED light that's tunable to any color. This smart road system can actually give real-time warnings to drivers of any vehicle, classic cars, autonomous vehicles, connected vehicles, using a color system of warnings in real time, real place. This is the kind of work that we're engaging in the United States and in the global community. Our goals are shared: safer, more sustainable, and more productive, valuable road systems and transportation. Please join us, and please ride the Ray. Thank you.